In today's video on Practice Python. In today's video, the programming challenge we're going to do is called the list ends, and the challenge is we're supposed to get the part of the list from the end and the beginning, and we're going to print that out. So let's get right into it. So as you can see, this is the challenge. You've got exercise 12 list ends, which I just went through. So I'm just going to copy the array. We might as well use the default array, makes no difference. I'm going to create a new file, new Python file, EAB for end and beginning of the list. I'm just going to paste the array. So what we want to do is create a function first, and we're going to say def func. We don't need any fancy name, we're just going to have def function. In the function, we'll call A just because that's the name of that, and it'll make it easier to actually read. We want to return the first part of this list, so we're going to type return, and then we're going to have this A, and then we're going to have more square brackets 0, and we also want the end, so we're going to have to say A. We're going to have this and then -1. -1 will print the end of the list, whatever we're actually writing. So however long this list is, -1 is always the last and 0 is always the first. So that's one handy tip for whatever you're doing. You don't have to count each individual one. -1 prints the end, 0 prints the beginning. So it's a very short program, but let's try and run it. Okay, so as you can see, it's not printing any code. The reason it isn't printing any code is because we haven't printed anything. And we can actually, if you want, I'm going to show you something different. So let me show you. We can do print that, have that in the brackets, have that in the brackets, and then we'll call the function at the end, func A. And now we'll run the program. And it runs. So here it says 525. Now let me just go for a run through, because I can actually acknowledge that this way of teaching may not be the easiest to understand. So we've got the array we just copied, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then we created the function func with A in it, because we've got the A variable name. And we want to print A0. And A0, because of the index, is the first part of this list. I'm sorry if I keep calling it an array, it's a list. It's the same thing, but in Python it's called a list. So the first part of the list is 5, and we also want to print the last one, and -1 always goes to the last part of it. So here we've got -1, which will obviously go to 25, and then we've got the func A. And to call a function, you have to put the function name with a bracket around it. You don't need a colon, because that implies you're going to try and start another function. So let me just show you again that it will work with any number on the list. So let me just make this longer, and let me change this to, let me change the beginning of the list here. I'll make it 987. So we'll run this again. We're going to click run, 98714. As you can see, the first is 98714. So if you're told pick the first and last piece of an array, you can count how many there are, but it's not the most efficient way, because the teacher or whoever you've got trying to make this challenge for you might be like, okay, make this longer, change the end and change the beginning, and then you're just gonna have to count all over again. And it's also not practical for where you have thousands or hundreds of thousands of items in a list. So again, this is just quicker. So if you like that video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Feel free to ask me any questions about Python programming that I may know the answer to or may not, and I'll try to help you in any way possible. If you want everyday programming tips and tricks, or just some funny little computer science posts, go to the Twitter and Instagram in the description below, and see you in the next video.